Across the UAE, businesses are growing at an incredible pace. They're entering new markets, expanding across industries, acquiring companies, and accelerating digital transformation. It's exciting to see, but growth also creates something that often goes unnoticed: complexity. Not because organizations are making the wrong investments, but because every investment adds another piece to the enterprise. The real question isn't how to grow faster, it's how to make growth feel effortless.
Joining us today is Vinay Barigidad, Global Delivery Officer at InfoVision. Through his work with enterprises across the Gulf, Vinay has advised organizations on enterprise modernization, AI adoption, and digital transformation. Today, he shares why engineering connected enterprises is becoming critical for business growth in the region. Why is growth creating complexity? I mean, it's a very interesting paradox, but I would really like to know.
Well, see, the thing is, growth has never been a challenge. Majorly, what we have seen is it's always about how the growth becomes disconnected. Look at every acquisition, every new platform, or how every new business unit solves a problem at the given point in time. Over time, what happens is those decisions create silos in systems, in data, and sometimes even between the teams. Whatever was done at that time probably was excellent solution at that time. In my experience, organizations that have scaled well aren't the ones with fewer systems. These are the ones that make every system talk to each other, work together, and where the information flows seamlessly between the systems. And that's where the engineering makes a huge difference, Sushma.
Then, in that case, why isn't technology solving the problem? Is it, it isn't, or what is it? And how do we navigate this challenge?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Sushma. I don't think the organizations need more technology. We have plenty of technologies today that is available at our hand. Most organizations and enterprise, if I look at, they have world-class ERP platforms. They probably already have CRMs. They are subscribed to the hyperscaler cloud systems. They probably have all the analytics systems built in. Many of the enterprises also look at how do I bring in RPAs and automations across the board so that I can work more efficiently. Every enterprise tries to look at how do we create that customer experience. So opportunity is not there to replace these kind of systems today. It's always about how do we connect these systems. The technology itself, right, it creates value only when the information flows seamlessly and decisions happen faster and people can work without friction. That's where the enterprises move from being digitally enabled to becoming truly connected. I think that's where the technology should solve the problem, in my opinion, Sushma.
Yeah. So, so how do you help enterprises understand this?
Well, uh, one of the things that we need to look at is look at how the enterprises have built the system over time. And because at that time it solved a particular problem, did we create silos? Is your data sitting in a segregated system altogether? Are your teams completely disconnected? We need to look at how do we start educating the enterprises, look at how do we bring these systems together. An engineering solution probably is to look at how information needs to flow between the systems and between the humans also without a friction. That's where companies like us, InfoVision, can come in and look at, hey, we understand how to do this. We can probably look at from holistically end to end all the systems and bringing in an engineering solution that makes the information flow so smooth, the frictions are removed, the data is made available across the system. There's a single source of truth that people can depend on, and the decisions can be driven from those that engineered solution.
So that brings me to a next logical question. Is this irrespective of the domains that we are operating in? So, do people like you need to be domain experts, or how does that work?
Excellent question, Sushma. Domain expert experience is one of the things that many companies look at. However, we also need to look at what an engineering or a technology company should do. Our advantage of being a technology services company is always about how we work across different domains. What we do today is we go into an automotive solutions company. We work with retail companies. We work with healthcare. We work with manufacturing. Everywhere, what we see is there are disconnected systems. The problem statements are similar. They have ERP, CRMs, and everything else. And when we look at all of these things, our contribution has always been on how do we engineer a solution. The domain experts, of course, we need a domain experience and expertise because there are certain terminologies that the engineering team needs to know. We need to understand what are the complexities in a particular domain. We bring in those domain expertise to help us to understand those terminologies and also understand what a particular system does in a particular industry. Take, for example, a healthcare compliances are going to be a lot different than a telecom compliances. So having somebody understand those will be very, very helpful. Similarly, if I'm building a system for a telecom customer, the need for speed is very, very different compared to how the healthcare system looks at. So those domain experiences are very advantageous to any services company, and we typically augment that, bringing in SMEs to go along with the engineering team. That way, they can deliver the solutions meeting the business requirements. So domain is required, but they need to be very well associated with the technology teams.
Okay. So engineering, you think is at the core of everything that will help these
Well,
organizations operate seamlessly.
I think the way I look at it is engineering brings the discipline. Engineering looks at solving a problem, right? It's just not about, hey, let's go and build a system. Engineering is all about how do I solve a problem that lasts for at least some lifetime. And it also takes care of all the border conditions, all the boundary conditions, and make sure that we are addressing the problem holistically, not just to address just in time solution. So that's where I think engineering plays a very, very important role. But without the domain experience and expertise, that engineering solution may or may not be foolproof.
Great. So, of course, no conversation in today's time can end without a mention of AI. So, I would just like to close with this one last question that I have. So, what changes in the
Huh.
age of AI, given all this backdrop that we have, spoken so far? What changes in the age of AI?
Very interesting. See, it's just, I don't think, let me look at it this way. We hear AI being asked from almost everybody. You talk to a business owner, you talk to the CXOs, you talk to the colleagues. Everybody is asking whether they are ready for AI, correct? I think the more important question that the businesses should look at is your enterprise ready for the AI? Because that's a very different question. How does AI work? Let's look at it. AI does great job if at all we have a good data, because it's all about looking at what exists, what it has learned based on the data, based on the processes, based on how the systems are built and what the enterprise has been doing. It is always learning from the data and then making those decisions. Obviously, there are LLMs, there are augmented data that can be added to the entire scheme of things. But if we have an enterprise where the information is fragmented, AI simply amplifies that fragmentation. I think that is something that we all need to realize. And if your enterprise is well connected, the data is moving very smoothly across all the systems, then AI becomes an accelerator. So that's why I see AI as an engineering opportunity, not just a technology opportunity. So I think everybody, when we look at AI, is more about looking at how well connected we are and what quality of data that we have. Do we have a single source of data? Do we have a single source of truth? And can we depend on that data to make our decisions? If that is the case, I think there is a huge engineering opportunity to build an AI-enabled systems.
Yeah.
Hope that answers your question.
Yes, of course it does. So, yeah, I think it will suffice to conclude that technology will evolve, AI will evolve, but then ultimately what is very important is I think as a technology provider for you to understand how the entire organization operates, how the systems can talk to each other, how it can
Yeah.
actually be a seamless flow of information, both at the back end and also, I think, in terms of the customer's experience. I mean, that is what I could understand from this conversation. And
Well, Sushma, I think we all need to realize if you look at the last 3 decades, the technology has evolved considerably and it will continue to
correct.
evolve, right? All thanks to the way the chips are changing, all thanks to the way the processing power is made available at the fingertips and at the edges. The technology will keep on evolving, and because of these things, we will also see AI will also continue to evolve. Okay, what won't change is the need to build the enterprises that will operate as one. So that need will never change because the larger the organizations become, the information flow has to be seamless. The executives and the decision makers need to be able to call on and say, yes, I trust my data and I'm able to make this decision. That need will not change. So growth should strengthen an organization, in my opinion. It should not divide it. So when people, processes, data, and technology, they all work together, we will see that the complexity is giving way to the clarity. And that's how the organization becomes ready, not just for AI, but whatever comes next. In my opinion, I think this is how we should prepare for the next wave of whatever is coming as a new change.
Oh, that's really a very powerful thought. A lot that you have left for us to, think and ponder over. Thank you so much for your time, Vinay. And I will, of course, end it with a promise that we would like to have from you that we'll continue this conversation because lots of interesting aspects to explore.
Well, thank you, Sushma, and I really appreciate taking the time and inviting me to this conversation. I hope this conversation is helpful, and we can look at how do we build engineering organizations that can help the enterprises with connected information flow.
I'm sure. Thank you so much, Vinay. Thanks for your
Yep.
time.
Thank you. Thank you.